them to you. Ritu Gupta, who is a CEO of one of the PR agency, Four Seasons. A part of that, she's also teaching media relations and public relation to eminent university in Delhi. We have Sitesh Srivastava, who is closely associated with radio broadcasting. He has a deep interest in corporate training. So, welcome both of you on roundtable discussion today.
Thank
How are
you.
you? How are you, Ritu?
Absolutely fine. Thank you.
How are you, Sitesh?
I'm well, Kanchan. It is always great to talk to you all the time. So I thought it's an interesting discussion that we always discuss. So today we have a third panel with us, Ritu. So it would be more interesting.
Today's topic is how important is hobbies in the development of children, and can these hobby can be converted into bread earning uh, skill for individuals. So, what is your opinion, Ritu, on this?
I feel hobbies are very important for any child and every child to go for, because hobby develop them as a person, which is very important in today's world. And hobbies can be, you can do your hobby in group, you can do your hobby all alone also. So in both the cases, it increases your confidence, and it also allows a child to de-stress himself or herself, which is very important. When the child learns to socialize, and it also enhances your creativity, which is very important, that any person, whether you are going to do some kind of a job, you're going to work in corporate, or going to be some kind of an entrepreneur, you need to be creative, because creativity helps you think out of the box. That's what
Yes,
I feel.
yes, true. You have mentioned valid point, because I also feel that hobby benefit children in many ways. It gives child an opportunity to express themselves. It allows them to discover themselves and build self-esteem. And also, I think in a process or in a way, we achieve goals like problem solving and make decision by this hobby practicing. So, what are your ideas on this subject, Sitesh?
Well, Kanchan, I think that we should all have some hobby to pursue because that is what satisfies our heart. Everything else is used to bring food to the table. And therefore, hobby is something that makes us what we are in the core. Many times, the hobby needs to be asked or developed that we try to do with our children because there are so many distractions in our life today. It is important for today's children to know what they can pursue as a hobby. But at the same time, some many years back, one of my former boss used asked me this question: "What is your hobby?" And I told him, and this discussion was happening between the transit time at Tokyo Narita International Airport for a few hours, and I said my hobby is writing. And he asked me, "When did you write last?" I said, "Some 1 month back." And he said, "No, that's not a hobby. Hobby is that you do every day, even if it
Yeah.
is 10 minutes."
Yes, definitely. So, hobby is a very essential part of today's children's development, actually, because that also reduce risk of depression, which I think most of the children are highly exposed to, because they are at home, they are watching television, and they are doing online studies. So, I think that some kind of break, which is very, very essential for children, and I think parents should also get indulge in these kind of activity because that they will again enhance the happiness somehow over the period of time. I think parents are also just doing their professional corporate jobs rather than really getting free time. And I think hobbies can bring a self development also. But now
Absolutely.
the question is, the big question for both of you: what are your hobbies? Ritu?
Okay. So I'll tell you, uh, my hobbies. I love reading. I love reading a lot, and I love traveling, and I love cooking. So I have of late started thinking that why not? I mean, why not open a cafe or be a halwai, be a very modern halwai? Why not? So this is what I have of late started thinking about: get into cooking as a profession.
Yes, and what about you, Sitesh?
By hearing Ritu, now I have more inclination to visit Delhi. Uh, and apart from the Bengali market and Parathe Wali Gali, I have one more place to have food. Well, for me, the hobby always has been, since the day I realized what is the meaning of hobby, it was always something which is related to expressing myself in terms of the writing. The true, real hobby that I developed somewhere around when I was in the high school timings. And it was always remained that, and writing, and then it moved from writing to theater, to a little bit of vision, and now for many years it has started with radio, and it is continuing with radio. Kanchan, you know about it. So I think that it is important to explore something which is called hobby, and there are many more ways of doing it today. In our times, Kanchan, if you remember, pen pal was one of it. Philately was another of it, and few more. Uh, but today there are so many ways of doing it. But somehow I always feel the youngsters, the kids, the children, when I ask them what is your hobby, and they have nothing to say, or they suddenly get perplexed because nobody has asked them this question. So it's important to pursue it for ourselves, and it is also important to inculcate. And the interesting part about hobby is that there is no age for it. There's no retirement from it, isn't
Yes,
it?
definitely,
Yes.
definitely. The hobby brings a sense of fun and freedom of life that can help minimize the impact of chronic stress. Now, the big question is again is that many parents don't encourage because there's academic pressure on children. So, and there are many
Mhm.
schools. If you really go counting the school, there are many schools who have cut down the hobbies in terms of the painting is there, and acrylic painting, or water painting, or sometimes making paper craft, and everything is there. But I think a hobby has to be turned into a skill. Now it is an era of a skill, like you said that writing, Sitesh said that you like writing. So now when we are talking about writing hobby, is there any way in schools from very early age when children can be taught in marketing writing or in copywriting or is news writing? So that is very important aspect, because it is a hobby but it should not go waste. There is a probability that a child can pick up that particular hobby and turn into a career or a breadwinner aspect of his life. What do you say,
Exactly.
Ritu?
Yes, you can, and it's very important to do what you love. So basically, most of the people, they love their hobbies, and yes, people are making their hobby their profession. And I've seen some schools in Delhi, and I think the government is also doing. They're changing their syllabus, but I've seen in some schools in Delhi that nowadays they are teaching journalism in 9th, 10th, and 11th, 12th classes. Also, there is fashion designing, interior designing, and also like I don't know about in Bangalore or like you're in Hyderabad, but in Delhi we have a zero period in school where kids they do what they like doing. You have various kind of uh, courses, you short term courses which you can take up in the school, and that is the time when you get to learn about those things, like storytelling. Then theaters are being doing are pretty famous in Delhi schools. So, you tell kids about various other options and let the child choose what he or she wants to do. But you have to give them the taste of all those things. And then it's a very good option that the kid decides what he or she wants to do later on in life. And every child is not good in academics. You can't expect every child to be getting 90%, 95%. I don't know how every second child is getting 95% these days. But what about those kids who get 80%? What about those kids who get 60%? They're also pretty good people. They also have brains. It's just that they cannot mug up physics, chemistry, maths. So there has to be some option for those kids also, which many of the schools are now thinking on.
Yes, because I also in new education policy, I think government has a stress on teaching academic with creativity. That the aspect which I've seen in our children currently. In fact, in my children also going through that phase. But again, the question is that are we exposing our children at school level like a carpentry or like something animal and wildlife? Because there is a social studies as a subject where, or for say astronomy, the space we have, like children read that these are planets and these are asteroid and all uh, routine education. But if somebody wants to learn beyond that, so then if we are doing this, that means we are making a base for our children to find out to become a veterinary technician or animal consultant, which is very much required for say, because we live among the animals, but we hardly know about the characters of the animal. So I think time has come to really generate these ideas, and children and decision makers uh, should take up this as a discussion, or as some introduce it into the education curriculum. So what do you think, Sitesh, about this particular aspect?
Well, well, Kanchan, you certainly sound like an activist when you say that there needs to be more that needs to be done. Well, Ritu, this is a welcome to hear that Delhi schools have a zero period. In fact, that's a very interesting thing, and I would take this up in the next PTM, which I love to talk to the.
Yes.
In fact, my children don't like me talking to their teachers for so long. So, so I think this hobby, as per se, as we have seen in the rest of the world, from far east, in what I have seen in Japan, what I have seen in Africa, and for what we know in the Western world, our curriculum, whether it is a state board or it is a CBSE, it is still far in terms of extracurricular as compared to the international baccalaureate, which is IB. So I think when you talk, Kanchan, in terms of carpentry and all those stuff, I think that is still we have a far long way to go. I'm sure it is happening in the international schools, but if this has to enter into our mainstream hobby as a subject, and that needs to be seen getting into the government schools as well as the private schools as well as the funded schools together. At the same time, it is important that we also sensitize the not only our children but also the teachers about teaching the same subject. Why mathematics cannot be a hobby of someone? Why physics, chemistry cannot be a hobby of someone, right? So it depends on the teacher, a creative teacher, to get that kind of an interest. At the same time, when it comes to DIY stuff, which is carpentry or electricians or something like that, folk art, calligraphy, all of that. So we all need to create that kind of a curriculum for the teachers training also. Our country has been more about the rote learning to create white collar or blue collar workers, and it has to change. I hope it will change with the kind of data that we have, internet, easy internet that we have. And I think only pandemic is stopping us.
Yes, actually, you mentioned maths. Actually, so it's a very good point that children can have a hobby as a math. But what we are
Yes,
studying, but what we are giving our children is a NCRT curriculum for math. Why not a Vedic math? Why not abacus? So these kind of things are missing in school curriculum. Now, when we are talking
yes.
about, everything has to be there intact in the school curriculum. Now children have, they according to their interest, they can choose what they want to choose as a hobby, or maybe extension of that subject. If you recall, I don't know, there used to be SUPW period in our
Yes,
curriculum long back.
yes,
And then we were
yes,
allowed, as you mentioned, Ritu, that it should
yes.
be zero period. So we were allowed to do things. So all like knitting, making pottery, everything used to be there, and we learn many things. Like I tell
Learned
you,
many
I
things.
learned knitting from that particular period only. So all things has to be there, and it has to be available for children to choose. So that is very very important. And though things are starting, but they are very maybe not as per, the speed is very low. Actually, the few schools are opting, few schools say no, like international schools, they say no, we will be doing something which is world standard. And I think they are leaving behind something which is very crucial for Indian children's development. What your idea on this,
Kanchan,
Ritu?
I want to say something. Yeah, I want to say, because what you say, I do completely agree with you. But the parents have to be made aware about it also, because I am middle class parents, the parents, middle class family people, they feel that their kid should be getting above 90%, should be taking up some good career and settle down somewhere. I mean, doing something very great in life, getting good salary. This is all they dream for. But then you have to make parents aware about that. The things are changing, and post pandemic things have changed a lot. People have lost their jobs, and they have started something new. Many of the people, they have become entrepreneur. What they are doing, like I know a lady in my building. Now what she does is, she's created a cloud kitchen. She's lost her job, she's created a cloud kitchen, and now she's doing pretty fine. So why not? So the awareness has to be created among parents, among students also themselves, that there is a life beyond their academics life also, and then they can take it up professionally also. But then for that, you have to really, have a roadmap in your life, a proper roadmap that how you want to do it. And parents and kids and the teacher, all three are very important in it.
Yes, I also want to add one thing, because if you are not sound, uh, if you're not happy, and hobbies gives you happiness. So if you're not happy, if child is not happy, I think, I doubt that they will not be able to excel in the academics also. Now when we are discussing a hobby, there's a greater part of
Kanchan, I
skill.
really, just one thing I want to, yeah, since you said happy, I have met someone, a teacher who is conducting happiness classes in school. It's a
Yes,
course of happiness course, and it's
yes,
very important, happiness classes.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So
So
this is
actually,
what I want.
yes,
Sorry.
actually, I think we are just pursuing the same path, but little slow. Now, Sitesh, you know that skill development is coming up in India, and NCRT and our Prime Minister also stress on skill development. But then, when we talk about skill development, the crucial aspect of development comes of soft skill development. So, are we really taking this again? It's a part of hobby, because we do a lot of activities when we do software development as a practical, like time management or listen and recap.
Mhm.
So all these the activities. So are we also taking seriously soft skill hobbies along with the hard skills and academics?
So, Kanchan, all through my IT life of more than 2 decades, I have always uh, spoken about the soft skills as comparable to the hard skills. And all the time, corporate life has told me that hard skills gets you the money, The soft skills gets you the happiness. And they don't understand that these are not interchangeable. They are exclusively together complementary and supplementary. And therefore, we also have an IT company, interestingly, in India called Happiest Minds, which is founded by a former Wipro chairman, Ashok Soota. And uh, it is important for to corporates to understand that a person who joins
Yeah.
the company after the college from the campus, his longevity into the company is not only dependent on the hard skills, but also on the platform of the soft skills that is given by the company to the employee. We all know Google gives 20% of its time to its engineers to pursue their own projects. And some of the greatest tools have come from those projects. In India, HCL had got this name of asking, finding out great managers amongst themselves and make them intrapreneurs. And that was a great thing to find out some great companies coming out of the HCL fold. So I think this is very important, not only in the school level, but also in the college level and in the corporate. But I think in today's, especially in the IT world where I work, I see that there's a lot of such things are happening because we invariably get to know what is happening in California.
Right.
But probably in other industries, it may come a little late. But in the middle age, when the students are in college life after the 12th, and those 4 or 5 years, those 4 and 5 years, I have realized, I see that they all are trying to get into those CAT and GMAT and SAT and TOEFL and GRE and those IITs and IIMs. Whereas the same student in other part of the world, which is the developed world, is trying to pursue something else. And this side, the student says, why I have to pursue all that, what someone else is telling me? So there has to be a lot of balance around it. I think what we need to tell ourselves as well as our youngsters, when I say youngsters, I don't not only mean our children, I also mean our college going students, that today internet is something which has given us a medium to create something. So television was called an idiot box because it was just one way. But internet is not one way, it's two way. So we should enjoy internet by entertaining ourselves into all those OTT platforms and binge watching. But how much are we creating on that? Are we creating something out of that? If we are not creating, there is a way to find out some knowledge. Let us say calligraphy. Many people don't know what calligraphy could be until unless they visit a textile museum in Ahmedabad. So I think it is important for all of us to, when we go to hiring in the colleges, I ask this question: what is your hobby? That's a very important piece of my judgment of picking up someone, because the person who comes with a hobby, he
Right.
knows the
Right.
love of the work that he does. And
Right.
as we all know, if you love the work, you will never get tired. You will never need a holiday.
Right. Yes, so I will summarize like Ritu has mentioned that she loves cooking and you mentioned writing. So all these hobbies should be having a department, and the school maybe very early. Like somebody who wants to really know about astronomy or something, somebody wants to know, become a diver. He must have a knowledge of how deep he can go, the knowledge of sea, which Sitesh, we know only very limited, maybe 10% of our own seas and
But
oceans.
what is your hobby, Kanchan? We never asked
Ah,
this question.
okay, my hobby is talking, and that's what I'm doing actually. Okay, jokes apart, I like painting, and I have excelled in painting because I do different type of paintings, like acrylic. I also do Tanjavur and some folk painting. So I've developed it over the period of time. So I enjoy it, and I really appreciate somebody who is into these kind of painting, because that is a very good painting and a very good hobby, I mean, and it gives you it de-stress you, and lovely actually. So
So you can make a caricature of my face.
yes, I can. I
Great.
am, yes. So as usual, it's lovely to talk to you, both of you, Ritu and Sitesh. And I was summarizing that schools and parents should understand, because it's high time that they should collaborate academics and hobbies and soft skills, because that will result into overall development of a child. So what I really foresee, or I recommend, that every school has should have all these hobby departments, and where children can pick, choose, and develop their hobbies along with the academics. It was so lovely talk to you, Ritu, and it was so lovely talk to you, Sitesh. We'll meet again
Thank you.
in a different interesting topic. Till then, bye bye.
Yeah, yeah. I will now go and listen to that
Bye
song.
bye.
"Man ke Sache."
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye.
Yeah.